Hello, I'm Dr. Catherine Toomer. I'm a family medicine and community health physician who founded health, wellness, and weight loss centers and various programs developed out of my own 100-pound weight loss, which began a journey about 20 years ago to save my life. I was an insulin-dependent diabetic. I had postpartum cardiomyopathy, and I knew that I needed help and unfortunately couldn't find it. And so I created my own program to help myself, and now I help others. I've been posting a lot lately about GLP-1s, particularly Mounjaro and Ozempic. And I've been getting questions about insulin resistance because those medications worked to help with weight loss because of insulin resistance. And insulin resistance is something that many people are walking around with, which causes very efficient fat gain, weight gain in the form of fat production, and makes it very difficult or resistant to losing that fat because you're hypersensitive to carbohydrates and your metabolism of carbohydrates is disrupted in some way. And so what insulin resistance is part of the lower end of a spectrum where diabetes is at the top end and insulin resistance at the lower end. Unfortunately, it's very easy to walk around with insulin resistance and not know it because lab tests are normal. Hemoglobin A1C is usually normal. Fasting glucose is normal, but rarely is insulin normal, insulin levels when checked. However, most of us in primary care do not check insulin levels right off the bat. Now, many of us who help people with weight health do check it and often find it and therefore treat it. And that treatment is okay. There's nothing wrong with an immediate fix to a disease. And insulin resistance it's a disease state. However, it should be one of multiple measures used. And hopefully those measures will take over for medication if you no longer want to take it. But if you aren't able to do that for one reason or another, unable to exercise to the point where muscle takes over, or unable to eat food in a way so that food can take over completely, then having a little bit of everything to work to save your life, to improve your health is okay. And there's nothing to be ashamed of in that regard. Now, what insulin resistance is that our body, when we eat carbohydrates, gets broken down to glucose. That glucose enters into the cell to be used as fuel by taking insulin produced by the pancreas and attaching it to the cell so that gets glucose inside the cell and then it gets metabolized. However, when you're insulin resistant, often what happens is the body overshoots and it produces too much insulin for the amount of carbohydrate eaten. Insulin in and of itself can be toxic. Now, when it's in its normal range, it's fine, but when it's too much, the cells see it as a toxin. And so what it does to protect itself, it starts shutting down the receptors for the insulin or makes the receptors they have less sensitive. And so what ends up happening is that the very thing we need to get the glucose into the cell doesn't, so your blood sugar goes up. That blood sugar then triggers higher insulin and it starts this vicious cycle. However, in that cycle, the body can't use it as fuel, so it just stores it as fat. And that's why fat production is so efficient in people with insulin resistance. Now, insulin resistance can happen because of stress as well, because cortisol also makes cells less sensitive to insulin. It also increases blood sugar levels. And so, again, why we gain weight through the middle when under stress for a long time. Other diseases can cause insulin resistance as well, like polycystic ovary disease. Menopause contributes, but does not cause it, but it can contribute it because of the hormonal arcs that occur during menopause. So the reason that GLP-1, the medications used to prevent insulin resistance, and the reason why they work so well to help with weight loss is because they're really helping with fat loss. And that's really the most important thing when it comes to your health, because fat in and of itself is an inflammatory substance. So it causes inflammation. It can cause issues with hormone regulation because hormones get stored in fat cells as well. So it's really important to consider the fat ratio between fat and muscle in the body. And therefore, which is why I don't often say weight, because you can be thin and still have too much fat in your body. You can still have the problems of, what's called dyslipidemia or adiposity, which is basically your cholesterol's off and your fat production is maximized, and we don't want that. So insulin resistance is a really, really important condition to control before it becomes diabetes, because left untreated, left unchecked, it will become diabetes in most people. And so treating it early and treating it as necessary, and then adding other substances on or other measures on with that, like exercise, if possible, like changing diet when necessary, can help. Because often we know we don't eat a lot when overweight. And you can be doing everything right, and you just can't understand, why am I not losing weight? I'm exercising, I'm eating right, and nothing seems to be working. It's because your physiology is working against you. And that's actually pretty common. And so sometimes you just need a little help to get you over the hump so that your processes go back to the way they're supposed to. So again, I'm Dr. Catherine Toomer. I am a family medicine and community health physician who founded health, wellness, and weight loss centers, created a program to help myself lose 100 pounds, and now I help others do the same.